worship you. I want you more than gold or silver, only you can satisfy. You alone are the real joy giver and the apple of my eye. You alone are my strength, my shield. To you alone may my spirit yield. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you. You alone are my heart's desire, and I long to worship you.
All right, that makes it super easy for me to preach when I hear good music like that. And so I appreciate that. All right, well, church, you know what's going on today, but there's somebody in the room that has no clue on what's happening today. So, you're preaching.
I got it, man. I'm all charged up from yesterday.
Yeah, she's got notes and she's ready to go. She'll kick that leg right out. No, we've been planning a Pastor's Wife Appreciation Day. And because March was so full, we just didn't want to tack it on to one of the services. We have decided that we're going to postpone it till today. And so today, we're going to honor the pastor's wife of this church. And so we have a series of things that we're going to do for her, and then I have a message that's centered around it. So, pastor's wife, you got to come up here. I was serious when I said you're coming up here. Maybe not preaching, but you're going to come up. And like I said, we've been planning this for a while. And so we have a couple of presentations that we'd like to make first. I'm going to have the girls come in with the first one. Give them to Grammy. Give her a hug. Don't say thank you, Grammy. Say thank you, pastor's wife.
They're great.
No, that's Grammy's okay.
That Grammy's good. All right, and then the second, so girls, you can go to the back, hang out for a second. The second thing that we've been planning on doing is while she's up here, and I'm going to have to take the flowers from you, is we're going to do a parade of cards. And I've been texting everybody, make sure you have a card, bring your card. So I'd like you to come up, bring a card to her, give her a hug, hug her neck. If you didn't bring a card, come up to her, hug her neck, tell her you appreciate her. And we're going to go ahead and do that now.
Oh, don't do that, Terry. You get us all doing that.
So it doesn't just have to be ladies, guys. You can come up and shake her hand, tell her you appreciate her too to be your pastor's wife. All right, and then the last thing, before we make her sit down or let her sit down, is you have to give us a 20-minute speech now.
Why do you want that?
Well, I don't have anything, so we've been taking up a collection for the last several weeks, and we were going to put it in the form of a gift card, and I got to thinking about a gift card. We were going to give her an IKEA gift card because she really likes to go shopping there. Then we were going to give her an Amazon gift card because she really likes to go shopping there. And so what we decided to do was just leave it all cash and give it to her, not in the form of a gift card, so she can just spend it wherever she wants. I was going to do a Cato gift card, but she might not. She's already bought out everything that Cato has. And so last presentation, this is the collection that we've taken up. And I want to give that to you. And like I said, it's for whichever of any of the above or other things that you'd like to do. But we just want to let you know that we appreciate you.
Since it's tax season, she has to declare his income.
No, it's less than $400 in a 6-month period or something like that. All right, you can sit down now. They were for March, now it's over.
But I appreciate your thoughtfulness and that you remembered. I need notes.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the scriptures and thinking about Pastor's Wife Appreciation. There's something that I was thinking about basically since the beginning of this. I like the example of Ruth. So if you would open your Bibles to Ruth chapter number 2. We'll speak for a couple of minutes on this subject matter, appreciating our pastor's wife, the work that she does. Now, before we get into this, pastor's wife is invaluable to our church, right? To any church. But we also have to remember she's not an employee, right? And so we don't expect things from her. However, she does them all the time. I know I'm sitting at home and she's like, well, I got to go to the church and I have to do this. I have to decorate. I have to do the prayer list. I have to do the bulletin. I have to do this. I have to... There's, things that she does that none of us ever sees. But we don't need to come to the place where we expect it. Because she's not the employee of the church, I am. Right? This is free. This doesn't have anything to do with this. But if you got a problem in the church, don't go to her. Right? She's also not the church counselor. If you got a problem with the church, that's my job. We've had to do that in the past in other ministries where people would come to her and complain about my leadership style, and she's like, you got a problem with him, go to him. Right? And so that's how we ought to do that. But, again, she's not an employee, but she loves to serve. And she serves our church well, serves me well, but more importantly, serves the Lord well. And when we do something like this, I get a little, on my side, I get a little, not afraid, but a little concerned that we might be stealing some rewards from her. But that's not the case. The case is recognition. We ought to be appreciative, to somebody in our church that serves in the capacity that she serves. And so we'd like to honor that. In Ruth chapter 2, we're just going to hit some highlights throughout the book of Ruth. But Ruth was a servant girl. She was a worker. And she didn't. We don't get that from her past. Of course, in Ruth chapter 1, Naomi and her husband and her sons move down to Moab, and they set up life there. The two sons get married to two girls, and one of them is Ruth. Now the husband and the two sons die, and Naomi decides that she's going to come back to Bethlehem, where she's from. And that's where we're going to pick it up. So she's in Bethlehem, and in verse number 1, it says, "And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband, a mighty man of wealth, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, Let me now go to the field and glean ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find grace. And she said unto her, Go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field of the reapers. And her hap was to light upon a part of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the kindred of Elimelech." And so we see here, Naomi doesn't say to Ruth, "Go work." Ruth says to Naomi, "I'm going to go out and glean." So she takes the initiative, and she goes and gleans in the field of this kinsman. And as we see here by happenstance, she ends up in Boaz's field. And so it's Ruth that has the desire to go out and to serve and to work so that her and her mother-in-law can have food. And so we see here Ruth taking the initiative to go into work. Drop down to verse 11. Boaz comes to the field. He's the owner. He's talking to the head steward there. And the steward says, Boaz asks, "Who's this woman?" And the steward says to Boaz, "This is Ruth, the daughter-in-law of Naomi. And she's done this and this and this." And so picking up the conversation in verse number 11, "And Boaz answered and said unto her," that's Ruth, "It hath been fully showed me all that thou hast done unto my mother-in-law, thy mother-in-law, since the death of thine husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother in the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people which thou knowest not heretofore." Verse number 12, "The Lord recompense thy work." And see, that's what we're doing this morning, is basically standing in the place of Boaz, saying to the pastor's wife, "The Lord recompense thy work." It's been told us what's been going on. I don't even know all the things that she does in the church. And the Lord recompense thy work. So the church is standing in the place of Boaz, looking at the pastor's wife and saying, "The Lord recompense thy work, and a full reward be given thee of the Lord God of Israel, under whose wings thou art come to trust." And so again, our heart, our desire, is not that she get a blessing from the church, but that she get one from God, right? And so us standing in the place of Boaz, looking at the pastor's wife of the church, these are our thoughts for her. Not that we want to take away a reward that she may have earned or has earned, but that we can recognize, humanly speaking, what the Lord is going to do in the future and reward her. Drop down to verse 14. "And Boaz said to her at mealtime, Come thou hither, and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar. And she sat beside the reapers, and he reached her parched of corn. And she did eat, and was sufficed, and left. And when she was risen up to glean," see, she sat down to eat. She was working. She sat down to eat only because Boaz told her to sit down and eat. And then what does she do when she got her full, for her fill? Well, she rises up and goes to work again. She was risen up to glean. Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not. and let fall some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them. That phrase there means that those reapers would reach into their baskets that they've already reaped the field from. They would reach into it and grab a big old handful of it and drop it down on the ground so that Ruth could just come by and easily pick it up and not have to work for it. And so Boaz is saying, on purpose, leave handfuls for her. And so she was able to do that. And says, and leave them, and she may glean them, and rebuke her not. So she gleaned in the field until even. How long?
Till night, evening.
Yeah, all day she was there. She stopped long enough to get her fill. Later on, we see that she saved a part of that aside in her apron and brought it to Naomi and gave her the rest of what she had. So she had eaten just enough for her and then saved some to give to her mother-in-law. Verse number 18, she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that which she had reserved after she was sufficed. So there's that phrase. And so again, the blessings that Ruth received because she was motivated of herself to go and to serve Naomi. And it was recognized by Boaz, the owner of the field and the near kinsman. Now, what happened to Ruth because she had this initiative? What happened to her? I mean, you know, she's, number one, she got a whole book in the Bible, right? She was recognized for her work so much so that God had saw fit to put her story in His scriptures. But then if you go to chapter 4, go with me to chapter number 4. Now, what's happened in the rest of chapter 2 and all of chapter 3, Boaz is the near kinsman, but he's not the nearest kinsman. And Naomi tells Ruth, go to Boaz, tell him that you're interested, and see if he's interested. Right? And then Boaz says, yes, I am interested because I see you're interested. He says, but there's somebody nearer than us and we need to deal with him first. And so he goes and he talks to the nearer kinsman and says, Naomi has a field that needs to be redeemed. You can redeem it or let me redeem it. And the guy says, well, I'll redeem it. And then Boaz throws in the little clincher there. Well, then the day that you redeem that field, you have to marry Ruth and raise up seed to her husband's name. And the nearer kinsman says, I don't want to do that. So you buy the field. And so Boaz redeems this property that Naomi has, and in that gets Ruth as his wife. Well, in verse number 17 of Ruth chapter number 4, we see something else that happens to Ruth because of her testimony. In verse 17, she's given birth, and the women, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi, and they called his name Obed. He's the father of Jesse. Who's the father of? Who's David? Right? He's the king of Israel. But who is David? Man, he's the Lord Jesus Christ is going to come back and sit on David's throne. And so you see, because of her work, because of her spirit, because of her attitude, not only does she get a whole book in the scriptures, right, her own book in the scriptures, but she's in the line of Jesus Christ. And again, what is her full name? She's Ruth the what? She's not a Jewess. She's not a Jewish girl. She's a Moabitess, right? She's from Moab. Not a great people. But because of her spirit and of her work and her testimony, she was recognized by Boaz, and she's recognized of the Lord for what she has done. Here's some verses. I just want you to listen. Don't turn to them. For time's sake, we're just going to read down through them. Hebrews chapter 6 and verse 10, for God is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love, which ye have showed toward his name, in that ye have ministered to the saints and do minister. And so the Lord recompenses those that minister. And so on this day, as we honor our pastor's wife, it says here, God is not unrighteous to forget your work and labor of love. Right? 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 58, therefore, my brethren, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord. So an encouragement here is, yes, you do a lot of work in the church, keep doing it. It's not in vain. It's not in vain, and that goes for all of us. Those of us that are in the church, keep doing what you're doing. The labor's not in vain. Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12, Jesus says, and behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me, to give every man according as his work shall be. And so, again, the little bit that we try to do here for Pastor's Wife Appreciation Day or month is going to pale in comparison to what the Lord is going to do on that day for those according as his work shall be. And then lastly, Galatians chapter 6, verses 9 and 10, let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good unto all men, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. Right? Who should we be serving most? Our church. Right? Our church. And so who should our pastor's wife serve the most? A soup kitchen? No? The hospital? No, she should serve our church the most, and we should, again, just recognize that. And so let's not be weary in well-doing. Not just, again, for her, but for all of us. Let's continue to do good. Let's do well, serving the Lord. And all that, I think one day we're going to have Church Member Appreciation Day. Right? Maybe on Pastor Appreciation Day, we'll do Church Member Appreciation Day. Because I don't like that day as much as my wife doesn't like this day. It's hard for us to take recognition. So maybe we'll do Church Member Appreciation Day, and we'll make David come up and preach, and then we'll have you all stand up here, and we'll just appreciate you, because we do. In all reality, both of us do. We appreciate our church. We love our church. You guys are an awesome church. You're easy to pastor. Well, some of you are easy to pastor. Most of you are easy to pastor. I'm looking at two that are not. And they're in line. But we'll have Church Member Appreciation Day because again, both of us do. But on this day, of course, we've set aside to honor our pastor's wife. And who's that? Well, that's my wife. And so I appreciate my wife and all that she does here. And like I said, sometimes she puts me to shame with all that she does. And we ought to keep recognizing her and make sure that we let her know, not just on one day a year, but all the time, that we appreciate her. All right? Well, there's not really an exhortation here for an invitation, but let's stand to our feet with our heads bowed, and we'll just be dismissed in a